They dropped the Xin Zhao ban for the not the Xin Zhao for surfing. Sorry, they dropped the Xin Zhao for the Ziggs. I forgot who they dropped for the surfing. Karma first pick. Okay. Viego once again getting picked up here for not Yoshi. I think you have some strong thoughts on this one.
Followed up a lot better, or just not be chunked out so early in all the fights. The Nautilus is a really good pick into Karma though, because he can just he has CC on 4 different abilities, just kind of broken.
Xin Zhao, though, as that one was banned away, the entirety of the series finally going to be picked up here for the side of who flashed that fight. Of course, a staple pick in that jungle all across this season. I mean, Xin Zhao Karma, just add a Lulu on top of that, and you've got basically the entire pro meta for the last 2 months. Maokai going to get picked up, though. Could be top lane, could be support. Same thing with the Karma. Could be solo lane or support. We'll see where those go, as Lotus has one more to pick in this first rotation.
Yeah, that's the biggest strength of Karma and Maokai, actually. Like, you just never know where they're going until basically it's too late.
Yeah, Kaisa, though, going to be taken away. This one onto Waffle Wheel. Not the same type of carry that we've had him on. Like, Kaisa, a lot more front-loaded in the game than some of the previous picks he's done. This series, as he obviously did very well in the Jinx and the Xayah, has a better lane phase in lane when you're actually in the matchup, but generally speaking, Xayah will spike or will stay relevant longer into the game, as late game Kaisa, the AP Kaisa build just no longer exists, right? Cassiopeia and Mordekaiser, though, being banned away. Once again, respect towards this Mordekaiser ban, which was huge for Dustodon last game.
The thing with Kaisa, though, is she can actually she has to be inside of Xin Zhao's ult to do damage to him, so the whole damage reduction thing doesn't exactly apply to her. And if he's ever on top of her, and she can always just ult out. And there's so much CC on the side of Lotus already that I don't think she's going to have a tough time navigating these fights.
Veigar being banned away as well towards that mid lane, and it's Cho'Gath for the top lane for Lotus. Saving counter pick for JVL in the mid lane. This Cho'Gath pickup, once again, a weak side pick for Accelerate, going up against what I assume is going to be a strong side pick for Dusk to Dawn. His Aatrox has been banned away. His Mordekaiser's been banned away. Aurelia has been banned away. We'll see what he decides to pick up.
It's really interesting that they banned the Mordekaiser and didn't just take the Shen on R3. I think that the Shen would have been great here to protect the Kaisa from, the engages from Xin Zhao and Maokai. I mean, they're always going to be very potent.
It will be Tristana. So we don't know between Maokai, Set, and Karma who is the support. We know that 2 of them are going to the solo lane, 1 in support. We'll see how that goes in draft. But we do know this is Tristana 80 carry. And we do know this is Xin Zhao jungle from who flashed that fight. And they're going to keep us guessing until we get into the in-game draft. Lotus, meanwhile, they're to pick their mid laner, and it's either into a Karma, a Set, or a Maokai. Well, not a Maokai. Karma or a Set. And it's going to be the Corki.
It's probably going to be Karma mid. I'd say Set bot lane, and then the Maokai top against the trick. No, maybe probably Set top. Yeah, because I don't think Maokai is horrible into Nautilus. Especially gives the immediate lockdown for the Tristana W2. There's a lot of kill pressure there, especially on someone's short range like a Kaisa. Her auto range is not that much longer than the Maokai W. I think it's not a bad idea if it goes bot lane.
Well, we'll see where they put this Maokai. I think obviously not into Leona, so Maokai definitely will do better. I mean, even if Nautilus can hook him, not nearly as bad as the Leona counter engage. So I expect this Maokai to go bot lane, the Set top, but we'll have to see once we get into the in-game draft. Speaking of matchups that we actually know, though, in the jungle, It's going to be Viego once again, but this time into the Xin Zhao from Baka.
That one's going to be interesting. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not familiar with the jungle matchup, but I feel like it should be Xin Zhao favored, at least early. And especially with the Karma Corki, that they should win that 2v2 pretty hard. Karma has so much utility and so much early game damage as opposed to a Corki. And
yeah,
he has more
it definitely does. And the Corki should outscale the Karma, right? Like Karma's power is mostly in the early mid game as a damage dealer, and then towards the late game she has massive shields with Mantra E, right? But as we get into this part of the draft, we'll see where the set goes, and we'll see where this Maokai goes. I'm interested in what the matchup is going to be like for this set in a Cho'Gath, because Cho'Gath's not a pick that we see a lot of.
Yeah, I think Set should win that matchup, especially if he goes like something like the Blade of the Ruin King Rush, just has a lot of percent HP damage. But I want to go back to the jungle point because I really like who Flash that Fight's comp because it allows Baka to do anything in all three of the lanes. He has ganks set up every single place that he goes to. And, you know, Baka's the playmaker for who Flash that Fight, at least in the early game. So giving him options of letting him go wherever, I think that's the best formula for who Flash that Fight to win.
And he's been the standout player this series, even in their losses, right? Baka has done extremely well. I mean, that Kindred game was absolutely phenomenal from him. Now, with the mid lane being known, it will be JVL on the Corki and Stingus on the Karma, it looks like. So they are completely role swapping. Once again, putting Donut Maker on the spot lane. I mean, I've never seen Stingus play Karma. I don't know if he knows how to play Karma, but like Karma's relatively easy to know. You should win trades if you know how to Mantra W or Mantra Q, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just so funny because I said earlier that I wanted to see him on the more long-range supportive champions. This is definitely not what I meant. Seraphine Karma. Oh man. This one, I feel like this is going to be a good game, though. A lot of damage on the side of Lotus. There's a lot of setup on who Flash that fight. I feel like these team fights are going to be pretty explosive.
Yeah, and you mentioned the setup for who Flash that fight. Once again, playing a comp that we expect Lotus to play, right? These huge team fighting comps that they played in Game 1 and Game 2 and Game 3. Now, Lotus, once again, going a little bit more skirmishy. They have Viego. They have some team fight potential with the Kai'Sa and the Corki, but Cho'Gath's gonna want to sit in the sideline for the most part, and then get a pick off with his ultimate, pretty much on cooldown. Nautilus is good setup for that. Yeah.
The Nautilus ult is going to be really key here in stopping some of the engage for who Flash that fight. If you can get a multi-person knockup and super disruptive to the backline, I think you can, especially if you combo that with Cho'Gath and Viego, I think Lotus can pull it off, but I don't know. There's so many tools on who Flash that fight. There's so many ways to disengage, engage. Like Maokai's ult is perfect for both of them. So his set, Karma. There's just a lot more tools that who Flash that fight have to work with. But Lotus,
so I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Who do you think's winning this game? Who do you think's coming out with the series?
So when I made my initial prediction, I said either Lotus wins this series 3-1 or who Flash that fight wins the series 3-2. I don't think Lotus wins a game 5. I'm going to stick with my initial prediction. I'm going to say who Flash that fight.
You heard it here, folks. Who Flash that fight, currently favored by our glorious guest analyst, Boost of Success. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, game number 5, DJ, Necrox, and RMC will be with you there. You won't want to miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is time for the final game between Lotus and who Flash that fight and Your Excellency Summer Heavy Finals. It was a 2-0 start to the Lotus squad, but it was simply stripped away. It is a best of one, and this moment is anything. It is surreal. It is remarkable, the tension I can feel in Discord and chat and everything. I just want to take a moment and feel what these players feel in a best of 5 scenario as Kiwi's going to walk in on the invade. look for the hook. It will not connect. Straight back to the get-go.
Calculated donut maker, right? No stress, no tension. You know, he's totally calm, 100% calm. I doubt that. This is, Laz Necrox was saying, this is as good as it gets, right? You could not ask for anything more in this series, in this league. This is the pinnacle of League of Legends, and these players know they can feel it. This is it. One game for their title, for 10 to 15 weeks of trials and tribulations, all on the line here in this draft.
And after all the games we've seen, gents, it feels like we've come back full circle. These are the sort of drafts we would have expected from Who Flashed That Fight, from Lotus here, Who Flashed That Fight. They've got themselves a lot of early game tools. The Karma Sinjao, like we're talking about in draft. There's a lot of strength here. Tristana, early kill pressure. But Lotus, on the other hand, they've gone back to their roots. You want skilling? They got a Corki. They got a Viego. Accelerate on attack? Check. Kaisa, Nautilus, kill lane on the bot side with Waffle Wheel being able to skill up? Check. All the boxes have been checked here.
Okay, hook in the bot lane, starts things off for Waffle and Kiwi, looking for the 2v2. Bit of damage traded back and forth, but neither squad able to find a kill just quite yet. Very defensive summoner here from Waffle, taking that exhaust, knowing that if Donut Maker hops forward, who is now playing 80 carry for Who Flashed That Fight, by the way, could get pretty deadly down there, so he will survive in case of that all-in scenario.
And speaking of this swap, whatever the reason was for Donut Maker moving down in the bottom lane, how poetic is it to have 3 games of Stingus against JVL in the mid lane? The two remaining players from VBO and Lotus 2 splits ago. That's it. Those are the only 2 that actually Kiwis, or no, Dunzi was the support. So just those 2 remaining now in the mid lane, fighting it out for one more game.
Okay, and we had the roam up from Kiwi and Waffle here, looking for Stingus, and topside, just action starting to break out here. And it's not Who Flashed That Fight who's making these moves. It's Lotus.
Yeah, they're the ones making proactive plays, no longer relying on the scaling that they've been beat at for 2 games in a row here in the best of 5 finals. I do want to take a moment to reiterate what is going on in this series. It is the most decorated player in excellency heavy history, Stingus, the most championed player here. Not only a massive brain here for Who Flashed That Fight from teams before him, going through draft, coaching everyone, even Waffle Wheel, and the team who has come up short time and time again in Lotus. 3 splits, all into playoffs, but with early exits.
I mean, the question, though, is Stingus LeBron or is he MJ? Right? Because LeBron went to 6 straight finals and only won 2 of them. Or 2 of them, yeah. Stingus now in 3 straight finals. Will he actually win a second? We'll have to find out. He's in trouble.
Stingus having to walk away out of the Spectral Maw, but he should escape. And while there is a little bit of trading back and forth, you can see that Lotus are willing to fight.
And for Lotus right now, the problem is even if the spirit is willing, the comp is weak. It's not necessarily the right lanes to gank here. Trying to kill a Karma with this Viego Corki in the early game is difficult, to say the least here. Neither of them have a lot of base damage, and Karma's just so safe. Topside, you're gonna run into the same problem where Set can just grab the Viego, turn around, kill you, and then kill Cho'Gath. So if Yoshi wants to make early game plays, he needs to look at this bot lane. The wards are down. It's set up. I don't know why he isn't doing it. Instead, Baka looking top now.
Baka looking for the dive. The knockup's going to be there in just not a second. Accelerate, flashing away, using that knockup as well. Kiwi thinking about going in. Will shield himself up from the Tristana bomb explosion, and everything dissipates.
That is actually massive for Accelerate, that outplay to escape. Look at the CS right now, 31 to 16, set as a lane bully. If he dies there underneath his turret, he loses so much. That was absolutely monstrous for him on this Cho'Gath to stay alive and stay relevant in this early portion of the game.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, you can see how measured the teams are. If this was game 1, game 2, they'd be just diving away here. Zero hesitation, because the trade-off is worth it. As long as Baka and Dust to Dawn don't die from it, or even if they trade 1 for 1, to set Accelerate behind and get Dust to Dawn rolling might be worth it. But instead, both teams, they're just farming it up. And the CS is the closest we've seen all series bar Accelerate. Now, Dragon is actually being started up right now by Waffle Wheel and Kiwiism. And Yoshi's not even there yet. He's still coming from the top side of the map.
Yeah, bot lane 2v2 taking things into their own hands here for Lotus. Kiwi will go low, but should never die to the dragon. And Waffle Yoshi gonna finish this one up. JBL to grab the assist. There you go. First dragon in your Game 5 finals going the way of Lotus.
And for one of the few times in this series, a very nice macro call from Lotus. They use the base timer on Stingus. He doesn't want to TP back to lane. They walk on over with Prio in the bot lane, and they take a largely uncontested Infernal Drake. That's very nice for any sort of poke. It's not going to win you the laning phase, but it is very nice start, and it's something that Who Flashed That Fight have mostly been doing throughout this series.
And considering that it's first dragon, the only Inferno of this particular map here, it's even more important because of the way Lotus want to scale up. You've got the Corki, you're going to be looking for the poke and additional damage for this Viego, for those executes, and to get that first kill is going to be absolutely massive. I also want to highlight the way they got it as well. You said it's great macro, DJ, and I fully agree. And it's teamwork, it's communication. It's not just Yoshi walking in and saying, hey guys, come help me. Waffle Wheel and Kiwiism actively took the decision to move up themselves, start it up, and then recall, because they knew they were going back to base anyways, and they lose absolutely nothing for it here.
And on top of that, not only good communication, I'm going to shout out to Finnick here on the desk. He called it out. It is mental fortitude from Lotus not to explode, not to lose their cool in a series that, well, they thought they had it. It was 2-0 up, and it is great stuff to see that they are still on top of things, making sure they take everything that is theirs, as what is not theirs is this top lane, as he's getting bullied out. Baka, though, clearing out this river, moving in.
Not just 2-0, Necrox. 2-0 with a 4-kill mid laner and a 3-kill AD carry at a certain point in that game. So really keeping it together. Dust to Dawn, though, back under this turret.
Yeah, and I don't think there's kill threat necessarily here. Dust to Dawn's taking way too much damage. They are level 6 though, so the ultimates are up and available. If anything, it's kill threat for Accelerate.
Baka's around here, waiting in the wings, maybe looking for a play. Kiwiism has moved up mid lane, looking to kill on Stingus, but he's being respectful. Accelerate trying to keep this wave out of his turret so he cannot get dove. JBL has teleport to arrive if they want it, but here comes the engage. Baka lands the first strike, gonna be knocked up into the air. There's no flash. Dump back in first blood. Baka is slain in the return angle from the tower, and it is traded back. Lotus, their top laner, trades out 1 for 1.
I mean, the thing is, they were so patient the first time, and the second time, they pulled the trigger. It's like all the patience, all the tension building up is gone, and now Yoshi trying to reciprocate on the other side of the map. They're diving Doctor. TP's coming down.
Here comes the teleports. Everyone's arriving, looking for the dive onto the Who Flashed That Fight bot lane. Dokdo going low, but the tower's not being juggled properly, and Donut Maker's getting some resets. Now rooted up under the turret. Waffle's flashing forward to finish it off. Yoshi's going low. Yoshi's going down. JVL's going low as well to the minions, having to flash over the wall to avoid Baka's re-engage threat. Accelerate is here just to make sure Waffle can get out safely, but it is Who Flashed That Fight, staving off a pretty dangerous dive.
And it ends in a 2v2. We get the funny little interaction there where we see the Tristana double killing the Tristana at the end of that play. But you could feel this tension building. 0 kills in the early game. It was all leading to something like this. Credit to Who Flashed That Fight for fighting it off, but this was almost brilliant from Lotus. Look at how many times they juggled this turret aggro as the TPs come in.
And what you have to keep in mind is that turret aggro, even if you juggle it, the damage keeps on stacking. So when you retake that damage like Yoshi did right there, you get instantly melted as well. And really solid defensive play from both teams. We saw Accelerate do it. Now we get to see Donut Maker do it. And we're still dead even here between the two teams. Only lead, like we've been harping all game so far, is pretty much just Dust to Dawn manhandling this top lane, grabbing all those plates.
And that's not necessarily something we shouldn't expect. Lane Set is a very strong lane bully. Dusk, of course, an incredibly aggressive player into this Cho'Gath. So the lead is pretty big. I think it's bigger than Accelerate would like it to be. But do remember, this is a Cho'Gath. It will get stronger. It will still be useful regardless. It's just a matter of how strong can Dusk get with that lead.
Hey, Dokdo and Kiwi maybe closer than they originally imagined here. In the mid lane, Stingus gonna be stunned up. Where's the hook? There's the knock up. Dredge line to follow, pulled back. Stingus gone. Kiwiism grabbing kill number 1, but now he's in a little bit of threat to the turret as it takes him low, but will not finish him off. And it's a nice hard breaker with an unstoppable keyframe from Yoshi to evade the chains. Lotus grab their kill and walk away.
The teams are evolving within this game itself. You're seeing the dives get cleaner here topside.
Accelerate's dead.
Dust to Dawn's looking for Accelerate, but there is still flash on the Shoga.
Yeah, should be able to flash away here. Nice knock-up Haymaker. Doesn't even need the flash Accelerate. Somehow evades without having to burn a cooldown.
He's going to have to base, though, right? And Dusk is just going to shove this in. He's going to continue to build that lead. It is a bit of an island in the top side, and it is costing Accelerate some amount of relevance in this game. Fortunately for Lotus, I do believe there is a Drake coming up, and they should be able to take it.
Okay, I just noticed that Accelerate has a blasting wand as well. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Everfrost for the Cho'Gath as this Drake is getting taken down. Plus, Waffle Wheel has a serrated Dirk, so probably going something like the Collector, if not just waiting to get the Serpent's Fang in the end to avoid some of the shielding that can come through. Hex Slash being channeled. There's the hook, immediately responded by the Crescent Guard from Baka, who has a nice escape angle over the wall into the Raptor pit. But Kiwi and Yoshi are not done. Waffle has his ulti to join the fray if he wants to. Hook not going to be able to find the mark, evading around the wall. Dokdo escapes.
Again, very tense moment here. And while all that was happening, Dragon was taken once again. Lotus picking that one up. But there is a price to pay for all this pressure they're putting around the mid lane, around the bot lane. And that is Dusk to Dawn up here, just powering through. Already took the first turret, and he's at the point right now with that Gore Drinker already that Yoshi can't gank this lane to help Accelerate. They need at least 2 extra bodies. It needs to be a 3v1. And even then, I'm not sure if Accelerate gets out alive.
They're looking for it with Baka in bot lane. Kiwi and Waffle have to run, but there's no engage to be found. Barely playing on the extended range of Baka's potential to jump in. They sniff that one out and walk out without any casualties.
And that's a game 5 right there, right? That is a play that you're who flashed that fight game 1, you're probably flashing in, trying to make that one happen. But the tension, again, the knowledge that this is the end of the line, regardless, they hesitate just a little bit. I think it's okay that they do. I don't think it's a bad thing, but you can feel that pressure of this situation, of the scenario, playing on all these players' minds.
And because Lotus is behind by about 1,500 gold right now, there is a pressure on them to try and make things happen a bit. Maybe not so much to get gold, but just to stop the bleeding. Who flashed that fight? They can just comfortably sit back for the next little while. Yes, they will eventually get outscaled, but that is 10, 15 minutes down the road. In the next 5 to 10 minutes here, they're just waiting for Donut Maker to get the Mythic, come online, and then they will look for those fights with these advantages of accrued on Dust to Dawn, on Baka, as well as the shielding coming through from Stingus.
Baka's really indexing pretty heavily into this bottom side. He has not gone up to his topside jungle in quite a while, but because of the pink ward that is in that river bush, he cannot really have a gank angle. Again, he's going to try it. There's a flash twisted advance, jumping straight onto Waffle, using the killer instinct, but Ignite is ticking down, the resets coming through, and Waffle's dropping, and Kiwi's not long for the world. Rocket jump straight to the face, and a shot through the heart, and it's all Donut to blame. Lotus lose both members in bot side.
Yeah, you were just talking about it for Baka. Why does he need to focus the top side, right? What are you going to do about the top side? Dusk is winning it on his own. You can camp these lanes. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to go up there because Dusk can't die in the 2v1. And eventually it works out. They find the play, they find the double kill, and now they're winning on 2 sides of the map.
And they're about to get that turret bot side as well, giving that gold over to Donut Maker. You're up against... Waffle Wheel is on a Kai'Sa right now. As a Kai'Sa, you want to be aggressive. You want to be playing on the front foot. If you have to play defensively, you're seeing the lack of defensive tools right now. And Dokdo can just die freely, set everything up, and Baka just has to stroll by. Make sure you get that additional bit of damage you need to pick up Waffle Wheel. And Kiwiism is just left twiddling his thumbs there. The amount of CC you put out cannot reach the damage dealers effectively.
You can feel the pull towards these objectives, especially for the side of Lotus. Everyone wants to converge into this river. They have felt the pressure from games past of not being the first ones to set down their vision, and they are now indexing so heavily in it that I'm not sure mathematically it's going to pay off, as Dust to Dawn, again, still split pushing topside, has teleport in just a few seconds in order to be down here.
Yeah, and part of me thinks back to what DJ was saying about that push and pull, about the timing of it. You're setting up all this vision a minute and a half in advance here, and then what? You have to go back to base, and then Who Flash their fight, they're willing to sit around. They'll only come at 30 seconds or so to set up their vision here. Meanwhile, they're going to pick up all the farm. Mid lane, bot lane, top lane as well. Look at Dust to Dawn once again is being left unattended, and it's just free pushing top.
Yeah, Dusk the guy who's like got all the hype, right? He listened to the Seawolf Silver Scrapes and he like absorbed that stuff in his bones, right? Like that's what's going on here. He's with Schnecky getting that $25 Patreon ready, but he's sending it to like all of Accelerate's friends and families to remind them how much he's gonna gap them in this game. That's what's going on in Dusk's mind, and they gotta find a way around it. They're looking for Baka.
Okay, here comes a package on to Baka, who uses the Crescent Guard, but they try to get in, but they cannot get in time. Here comes a dunk back from Dusk with a nice teleport into the fight. Haymaker, face breaker, and it pulls Lotus apart. Kiwi's the first one to fall, but a nice flash forward will not finish the kill of the Waffle. He escapes with 1 HP, but Lotus have no more engaged threat, and it's Who Flash that fight that owned this objective.
Okay, I have to say it. That's a massive mechanical misplay there from Donut Maker. If he gets the auto into the ulti and resets, he could clean up everybody there with a full HP bar. But still, it's going to be Who Flash that fight coming away with it after you see this replay.
Yeah, and watch the teleports. Dust to Dawn gets in the fight. Where is Accelerate? This is now a 5v4. And Accelerate's all the way back there. Your team's getting wiped. That face break was absolutely massive. And then here's the Donut Maker moment where he hops in. Oh, just
yeah, he doesn't
barely.
auto. He doesn't auto. That's a triple kill. I mean, there's no way around it, right? You get that reset, that's a triple kill. Meanwhile, Baka.
What's going on here? Baka barely avoiding that rupture from Accelerate, who is fairly large at this point in the game. That Cho'Gath is pretty big. Donut Maker hopping forward as well, just to make sure Waffle will know who's the boss down here in the bot lane. You might be the #1 prize AD carry, but apparently you can't beat the mid laner from Who Flash that fight.
No, and I mean, that's not ideal. Stingus right now is on a karma. This is not a mid laner that's supposed to dominate in these 1v1s necessarily. You're there to buff up the 2v2 or the team fights. Dragon did go down in favor of Who Flash that fight, so they did lose the first 2 dragons. They lost control in the early game, but they're starting to come back in a very controlled, measured fashion. And when it comes to dragons, starting on the 3rd and stacking that can be absolutely massive. You can get potentially 24% armor and magic resistance if you get all 4 of those drakes, plus the shield on top of that.
I mean, they're more than coming back, Arbs. They're 4K gold in the lead, and look at this Tristana. There's a 5-1 Tristana already with a mythic item. Like, it would be worse if he got the triple kill, but that is massive. They are very accelerated, and you're looking at the potential to have 2 items at the next Drake, right? To be just way ahead of Waffle and the rest of the carries. It's going to be probably 2 items until JVL is relevant, and 3 until he's strong. There is a big window remaining before Lotus's composition comes online, and they have a big gap to deal with in that window.
I want to talk about a very real possibility that manifests in this game, and it's dragging this thing out till the brutal end. Lotus have started up 2 drakes to their name. Who Flash that fight have to wait 3 minutes to even begin to tie that up. And we always talk about the scaling threat, but Waffle, you can't scale if you're in the grave. Beautiful killer instinct over the wall, but he's left Kiwi to die. He is sacrificial, and he is dead in the mid lane. He has cut down and advanced to 6-1 Donut Maker. He can play any role, and he does it with style.
I mean, Who Flash that fight are making it reality, right? The reverse sweep is here. The early game blitz that wasn't here in game 1 and 2, it is a reality. This mid lane tier 2 turret is gone. They've got a Rift Herald. This could be the 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, you called Stingus a mastermind, right? He's masterclassing right now. Sure, he didn't bot gap the way he kind of suggested he would, but Donut Maker's doing it, and that's still a win. If you're a coach right now, the macro movements, you say that this could go late, Necrox, but if Who Flash that fight can keep up this momentum, it won't. Dust to Dawn continues to be a huge split push threat. These heralds have been used massively, and the dragon fights over and over again. Anytime Lotus try and poke their head into a neutral objective, they are getting pushed off or they're losing members. That's happening at Dragon Pit. If it happens at Baron, that's going to be a much bigger team wipe.
again, we're talking about the scaling, but again, look at Donut Maker. He's on 2 items. You don't get a bridge. You don't get a window. This Tristana is already scaled. It's insane how far ahead Donut is. All you got to do is play out these fights in a front-to-back manner. You don't lose if you, okay, as long as you don't do a tactical. Don't do a tactical. Please don't do a tactical.
That's a little scary thought for Donut Maker, but he has shown his restraint so far and his ability to make sure he stays safe. 7-4 on the kill board. 6 of those lie on Donut Maker's Tristana. The man is golden in terms of itemization, and speaking of that, he can now go golden with a stopwatch of his own. Even more safety, even if he does a tactical, even if he wants some outfight impersonation, he can just stopwatch and wait it out.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive here, because who else are you going to focus in this fight? Stingus? If you're focusing Stingus, the rest of Who Flashed That Fight is going to be more than happy, because everybody else is outputting that damage here. And the karma really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things here. I do also want to point out, with the Tristana right now, for Who Flashed That Fight at 6-1, Lotus need to make proactive moves, specifically to pick off Donut Maker, which means flanks, which means visions, which means somehow finding a way to the back. The last time we saw Lotus make a proactive move, find a kill, was 10 minutes, 15 or 16 seconds roughly. That is about more than half the game ago, 11 minutes ago, since we last saw a proactive move from Lotus.
And I mean, you want to talk about vision once again. I mean, the supports are even this time around. Look at the mid lane. Look at the amount of vision that Stingus has gotten for his team this game. It's once again a masterclass in setup from the likes of Who Flashed That Fight. They're trying to do it again here as this Drake is coming up in 20 seconds.
Top turret already dead. Tier 2 gone. Lotus have already lost something. They need to find something. Here comes a flank teleport. This could be a game-determining fight. This is what wins finals. Dustin Dawn brings them back with a showstopper. It is all over for Lotus in this fight. Kiwiism down. JVL down. Accelerate down. And Waffle Wheel and Yoshi are not long. Everyone here to clean up the kills. And there is not an easy route to escape. Waffle being burned and Yoshi to follow. 5 members gone as Yoshi tries to run, but Dusk is chasing him down, flashing to buy time. But one more auto doesn't kill him yet. Push him to the Krugs to get a little bit of help. Dragon has been secured, but Yoshi's still running. He's buying time, finally killed. And with 30 seconds on his timer, Who Flashed That Fight are moving to the Baron pit.
It's not an ace. They took so long. The JVL Accelerate, they're already back up here. Yoshi did his job. He bought time. The problem is, you're the jungler.
He's the jungler.
Yeah, exactly. You're the jungler. You're dead. You can't contest Baron now. And Lotus are still trying. The only way they can save this off is Accelerate somehow walks in the pits and feasts. But there's no blast cone, no flash. If they stick around, their feeding kills over, and that might spell the end of the game.
Accelerating Kiwiism here along with JVL, but there is no flash to get into the pit. Rupture being used, health bars are low. Void Seeker connects onto Donut Maker, but it's been secured. Waffle Wheel to the back line, but Waffle Wheel's gone too far. Showstopper onto Accelerate, and so Dawn brings it back, and it's a double kill already. Give it over to Who Flashed That Fight. JVL has to run, but with the healing and shielding power of Karma and the main man in Stingus, he refuses to let this team falter. It is 5 members wearing purple as they shove into Lotus's base.
This game? It's sure it can't be game. The death timers aren't long enough, but it feels like game.
I mean, can they even wave clear though, right? You've got a Corki on 1.5 items. It's not going to end, but it's so... Oh, it's running away from them, RMC. I think it's already run away from them a little bit here in 24 minutes. 15-4 is the kill score. It's an 11K gold lead.
And this is the biggest kill differential we've seen throughout this entire series. Lotus has kind of sat back and said, we're going to scale, we're going to scale, we're going to scale. But they were losing, they were hemorrhaging objectives gold the entire time here. And I'm sorry to say, for Lotus right now, you cannot keep saying, we're going to scale. You need to start making moves now. And whether or not it works is kind of irrelevant. You're on a timer. There's still 1 minute and 50 seconds for this Baron push here. And if you lose another inhibitor, you've lost all control of the map. You'll have supers pushing in. You won't be able to leave your base. You can't contest Dragon. You can't contest Baron. And you can't even defend your last remaining inhibitor when supers are pushing in the other two sides.
It is all about the two carries now. JVL and Waffle Wheel need to group together and make heroic efforts to bring this one back. Reverse sweep has become reality for Who Flashed That Fight in Lotus. After a disastrous start to Game 5, they need to group together and find some sort of play as a 5-man siege now happens bot lane.
I mean, this is when it's just free, right? Baron's still up.
Yeah.
This will just fall right down. They're going to push for 2. The question is whether Lotus fights here or gives up this inhibitor again. 10 minutes is the timer, or excuse me, 7 minutes until they can get soul. But you do have to pick a moment to fight. Whether it's around this inhibitor or not, I don't know. There are 2 items on the Corki now.
You've got 2 options. Either you fight here, or else you have to wait out the Baron. And if you choose the latter, you have 0 control. So I'd like to see at least an attempt here to poke
they're
down.
not going
But it's too late.
You can't do it without the turret, yep.
Inhibitor turret gone. Inhibitor now gone. That is 2 for Lotus.
There's a wave in
Fully
top side.
exposed. And now Who Flashed That Fight are forcing the issue onto the 3rd inhibitor in your
You have
Game
to fight
5
here.
finals. Lotus are
seconds on Baron.
going to have to fight. There is no option. There is no choice. You cannot give 3 inhibitors. Who Flashed That Fight are walking around, thinking about the play, seeing if they want
Whoa,
it.
here we
JBL's
go.
going to force the issue. He's going to get rooted up. Duster Dawn here with the front line, knocked up. Will not be able to find the engage. He loses his flash. Lots of roots coming through, but Lotus escape with their inhibitor still alive.
Okay, they stay alive. I still not. There's no kills, but they do keep the triple inhib away. That is the critical thing, right? You do not lose the game off of this. It's really rough with 2 inhibitors down, but as your carries scale up, right? 2 items now on JVL, 2 on Waffle. You can clear this away. You still, you give up this Drake. This Drake is gone, right? This Drake does not exist in your eyes. You don't even think about it. You have a fight in 5 minutes around the soul, or in 2.5 around the Baron. You need to pick one when one of your inhibitors is respawning, so you can't get backdoored. That is your moment, and then Lotus have to come up with a miracle.
You don't even have 5 minutes, DJ. You've got as long as it takes for them to go back, base, walk the dragon, take that, and siege your last inhibitor. Like I said, with those supers pushing in bot and mid right now, they can freely siege up top, and then Baron spawns. I don't think we'll even see that. You're forced to fight at the base. The only way we see Baron being taken is probably by Lotus winning a fight and going to Baron here.
They need to force something. Lotus are panicking. They're scrambling to figure out what is theirs and what is Who Flashed That Fight. This dragon, as DJ said, does not exist anymore. This one is gone. But the rest of the members feel confident enough to step up just into one singular brush in their top side, lay down a little bit of vision, but then they have to retreat once again because of the threat of supers are pushing down both lanes.
Okay, Who Flashed That Fight now? They're setting up for this siege. They're walking in the minions, and you can see that Lotus is being stretched back and forth. There's only one ward that maybe will catch members of Who Flashed That Fight rotating between bot and mid, and if Lotus get caught outside a turret here, whoever gets caught is dead.
Okay, we'll see if they can hold on to this one. Inhibitor turret number 3 down to 50%, now down to 10, now down to 0. Kiwi cannot force an engage without accelerate here with his buddy in the front line. Who Flashed That Fight are walking away as a 5-man squad. Now they're re-engaging as a 5-man squad. Kiwi's gonna be knocked up. He's gonna be taken low, gonna be taken down in just a second. Hooks back in, but he cannot find it. Twisted advance, locking up Waffle Wheel under his turret, having to flash away, but the main engage is gone from Lotus. That is their 3rd inhibitor down, and Who Flashed That Fight are not backing up.
Like
this is a game-deciding fight. It's Who Flashed That Fight in Game 5. Look at end it right here, right now. Is Yoshi going to the 1 HP? JVL on the run, but he cannot escape. Nexus exposed. Lotus will lose, and Who Flashed That Fight reverse sweep their way through the finals and take their crown once again.
And the greatest series in excellency history ends in a reverse sweep for Who Flashed That Fight. The resilience, the character to come all the way back, swapping laners. It is absolutely incredible what we have seen here tonight. The celebration is on for Who Flashed That Fight. The heartbreak is real for Lotus.
And it sucks so much more for Lotus that they were up ahead, that they just needed one more. And there were so many times, Game 3, Game 4, there were opportunities. Game 5, though. Game 5, there really weren't. Who Flashed That Fight played that so clean from start to finish. And the moment they got a couple of couple of advantages. They just kept snowballing it. And Lotus, I understand that it feels like everything is waiting on that moment. You don't have space for error, but you also cannot afford to wait till the very end. They put up a heroic defense, but by then it was just too late. Yeah, your Nexus was literally falling down around your ears at that point there. Well played from Lotus, but congratulations to the once again Kings who flashed that fight.
They grab their crown and wear it proud. And the archetypes stay true. Lotus have come so far time and time again in the finals, and once again will falter to Stingus and his team. VBO, now who flashed that fight, will wear their crown another time. And on the other end, it's just another title, just another ring on the fingers of this man, the most decorated, now officially most decorated man in the history of Excellency Heavy. There is not much to be said other than he is the single greatest player that has ever stepped foot on Summoner's Rift in Excellency. That's it. I mean, you can't take it away from him. Might not be all pro AD carry, but when he goes in mid lane, he pulls off a reverse sweep and it matters the most.
You had to bring it back up, Necrox. You had to bring it back up.
He's an all-pro mid laner. They just needed to lane swap and they both have made it.
I'm just so impressed from both these teams. Again, my heart is shattered for Lotus. This organization so close to 2 titles in light and heavy, but just short. But my heart surges with joy to see Stingus bring his team, rally around him once again, and grab a title well-deserved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, right? You can't argue it. It was an incredible series, an incredible show of resilience to come back from a reverse sweep. And this is the second week in a row. They've been to full 5 games. It wasn't a reverse sweep last week, but they won game 1 and then gave up 2 to Sparta Prime to boost here on our analyst desk. They have had to fight and scrape and claw all the way through the playoffs after getting the bye in the 1 seed, and they have found a way to do it up against the wall in 2 separate occasions. There's not much arguing you can do about that, whether it's deserved or not. They have shown everything you would want out of a champion to get here and to claim this crown.
All right. Well, you know what time it is. And honestly, this may be my favorite part of the night because we're going to get to talk to the victors in just 1 second, right after we throw it to our analysts to break it down. Finnick and Boost, you guys have been saints telling us exactly what's going on. We're going to hear from them one last time before we hear from our victors.
Thank you very much, Necrox. And to start it off, I would just like to say commiserations to Lotus. You guys had a hard-fought series, went down to the wire in game number 4. I mean, that could have easily gone either way, and I think it goes back to what we said at the AD before this game. It's all about mental fortitude, and unfortunately, it's really, really hard to come back when you are in the process of being reverse swept. We see this time and time again in other games, not just in professional League of Legends, but all over the place. But to get that 2-0 lead in the first place, to get to that point where you almost win in game number 4, that takes a lot of work, that takes a lot of effort, and that takes a lot of talent. So once again, commiserations to Lotus. That said, let's break down what was a stomp here from who flashed that fight in game number 5.
Oh, oh man. Well, it all begins in the top lane, man. Dusk to Dawn. You give that guy a counter pick top lane. You make him strong side. That guy delivers. Game 4 and game 5, it was kind of a top gap, but he just did everything for his team. He needed no jungle help in game 5, so the Xinjiao was just free to just stay bot lane and camp them. Like, sure, Donut Maker had the flashy scoreline, but all of it was enabled because of Dusk to Dawn.
Yeah, but on top of that, right? I mean, we just have to talk about it because it's the story of the series. Donut Maker swapping in with Stingus. Donut Maker looked absolutely insane as ADC. Like, I did not know he had this in him. All 3 of those games, just absolutely smashing performance, and no exception this game.
Yeah, I mean, this might sound weird, but I think AD carry is probably the easiest role in the game. So I think his mechanical skills from the mid lane would transfer over pretty well. I think Stingus just needed to take a break from Waffle Wheel's laning, just get his head back on right, play some scaling mage or like enchanters, and then Just take over the game through his shot calling, and so he doesn't have to focus on laning against probably the best AD carry in the league.
Yeah, and it worked, right? Like the shot calling definitely was better in these last couple of games, especially game number 5. Once again, an absolute stomp here from Who Flashed That Fight. And you mentioned it started in this top lane. We got to talk about the junglers as well here. Baka, came in game number 2, subbing back in for the team and absolutely, nearly won that game for his team on the Kindred. And then now, like, consistently been playing very well for the rest of the series. Game number 5, no exception there. Had a lot of jungle pressure early.
Yeah, it was really weird. So they won. They first picked Diana games 1, 2, and 3. They won 2 of those games, and as soon as they lost game 3, they're like, nah, no more Diana. We're just gonna pick other things. And they just never went back to it. And I feel like it could have been pretty impactful, especially in that last game when you have a lot of setup in the bot lane. She can do a lot of things to AD carries. But overall, I think Baka was definitely the better jungler this series. He played really well. He enabled his bot lane. He knew where to play towards the win conditions.
Well, that is all the time we have for the AD tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Boost is success. But now an interview with Stingus and with Donut. Take it away, Necrox and DJ.